I do actually remember this night, and I had felt really bad all day, and I honestly should have known that something was wrong, but when you have just multiple things in your body that are going on at the same time, you don't really realize, like, oh, this one is really, really bad, worse than usual, so you should probably check it out even more than just noticing it. So I had felt really, really dizzy all day, like really dizzy, like I was going to pass out. So I remember sitting in bed, and I think I had taken my medicine, and my parents were in there, and I was like, I just feel like I'm gonna pass out. And they were just kind of nonchalantly like, oh, we should probably take your fever or your temperature. And then I had a fever. I had a 104.5 degree fever. And that is not good. If you ever have a 104.5 fever, go to the hospital. So that's exactly what we did. Took my temperature, got all my stuff back to the DRC, which was basically my second home at this point. They put me in an isolated room. It was really weird. I remember my dad got in a fight with one of the nurses over medicine. Everyone was just really, really stressed out at this point, and I'm sitting there, and my cute little brother is like putting ice packs all over my body. I had one on like my head, on my wrists, on my legs, like everywhere. Still, I had my weight going down. I stayed overnight. My fever finally broke, and they brought me up to the hospital floor. It was really, really scary. And then they prescribed me a medication called Reglan for abdominal pain. And so that was just another medication that when I took it, it helped with the pain, but it knocked me out right away. So I would actually take the pill, and I would fall asleep within minutes, and it really knocked me out. So now I'm basically sedated. This whole summer I was just not there. So I have all this medication, and I have these fevers happening, which are all side effects of the immunotherapy as well. So we were told that maybe this could happen, and so far a majority of stuff is happening to me, right? At this point, my anxiety was just over the top. It was absolutely out of control. I really had PTSD of my own home. So when I would come home, I would just associate it with being sick, and I wouldn't want to go in my parents' room or my parents' bathroom or my room, or it's just anywhere. Just being in the house in general, the couch, like anywhere that I turned would give me PTSD, because everywhere I was just so sick, and not good things were happening to me in all of these spots. I didn't want to go downstairs. I couldn't go downstairs. I would try some days, and I would make it to the couch. I would sit down, I would have breakfast, and my heart would be pounding. I'd be like, I need to go back upstairs. And I was in my parents' room a majority of the time. I would just lay in the same spot every single day. And I wanted to go to the DRC. So at this point, my anxiety was so bad that I was so scared of something happening to me and not being in the hospital or being in the DRC that I wanted to go there. So if I had anything that was slightly wrong with me that day, I would be like, let's go to the DRC. I'd rather be there than here. And that is truly what I thought. I wanted to be there. And that is not normal. It's not normal. I mean, maybe when you're sick, I mean, now that I think about it, it makes sense, because my home reminded me of being sick, and the DRC was where they made me feel better. So in my head, I was like, no way, I don't want to be home. take me to the DRC. I just want to feel better. And that was my mindset for months, actually. So on the 9th, my hair started to fall out. I have a spot up here that I could show you. So right here, it's cute, it's edgy. So my hair started to fall out. I remember looking in the mirror and, you know, I didn't expect to see anything. And I had even asked if my hair would fall out and they said no, but I just remember looking in the mirror and flipping my hair up and seeing that and being like, like it's happening. At first I didn't put together that it was from the radiation. I just kind of thought that the stress and anxiety that I was having and also laying on pillows for so long was causing my hair to fall out. And I didn't even realize that I had a huge spot in the back of my head either. And actually until a couple weeks ago, I didn't even know how much hair had fallen out. I just felt the back of my head. So every night that I would shower my hair, my mom and I would sit on her bed and she would have to brush out my hair because every time like clumps and clumps would start falling out. And I wasn't upset about it. I was just kind of like, it is what it is. That's what's happening right now, and it's hair and it'll grow back. And even if it didn't, like, that's just how it is. That like worse things were happening. And I was in so much pain that I actually didn't care one bit. I was just like, it's hair. Fix my stomach, please, somebody. I didn't care. So my stomach actually, after that happened, I started getting burning in my stomach, but it was up higher. So it was more so over my diaphragm, and then it cut off towards the middle of my stomach. And then the rest of my stomach was in severe pain as well. So I just remember days and days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks where I would be curled up. I would flip from one side to the middle to the other side, and my face, I remember I just had this face that was like in so much pain, and I would scrunch my eyebrows, and my face was like that for 2 months. I swear on my life, it was just scrunched to the point where when I could actually think again, I was like, Mom, I'm gonna have to get Botox because this is months of my face being in the same position. I was like, damn. It was really bad. Like, they have a scale actually that says rate your level of pain, and it's like 1 to 10, and it has like a super smiley face, and then it goes to like crying, and I was always like a 9, like all the time. And it's not funny. It was serious, but now I look back at it and I'm like, I can't even believe that this happened. Like, how can I don't know how to react to it. I gotta just laugh. So I wound up going back in to the DRC. At this point, I weighed like 100 pounds. Actually, I weighed 100 pounds. So I went from 124 of basically pure muscle to 100 pounds, skin and bone, all muscle gone, no fat on me. So finally, after like a month of wondering what was wrong with my stomach and why was I getting this burning in like my diaphragm, I was diagnosed with pancreatitis and gastritis. So everything that you hear on commercials that's like, more severe symptoms may include blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's what I had. So they are extremely painful. I know I've already said this, but so I would go into the DRC and I would be given pain meds, and this one pain med that I was given was called Dilaudid. So they would put it in my IV, and the second that it hit my body, it felt like I was either gonna have a heart attack or vomit, and then I'd pass out. Like, I would be knocked out. And yeah, it would help with my pain, but only for a little bit. So these pain meds are extremely addictive too. So they didn't want to give me too much, but every time I would be in like excruciating pain. I think the worst time that I was actually in the DRC, I had a fever, I had pancreatitis, gastritis, so all the pains happening at the same time. And then I started to get joint pain. So a side effect of immunotherapy is actually joint pain. So I would have severe pain in my elbows, in my fingers. It would get in my hips, my knees, my ankles, and then my toes. So, but it would move around from place to place. This one time that I was in the DRC, I had fever. My stomach pain was absolutely horrible. And then I had all of the joint pain at once. So all of these pains, I didn't even know what to do. And then I had tremors starting as well, that were probably from the steroids. But so I was laying there on the bed shaking, had all the pains happening at once, and they had 3 pillows under my knees. So they were all elevated, and I have never been in so much pain in my entire life. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous. And then they didn't want to keep giving me so many pain meds because they're addictive and I'm young, and it just, oh man, it was a lot. It was really, really a lot. So they took me off of the immunotherapy. I had another MRI of my brain, and the results came back really good. It showed the tumor shrinking, so we were really, really happy about that. We're like, yes, like everything is working. This is so great. My stomach pain and the pancreatitis and gastritis were just so bad, so they decided to do an endoscopy. So that's where they put a little camera down your throat. They do knock you out for this. That was my first question. I was like, am I going to be sleeping? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, all right, then fine, do whatever. So got the endoscopy. The results came back good. They took biopsies from something in my stomach. I don't really know, honestly, but somewhere in there. And that was that. The next couple of weeks were honestly just deja vu. Things would happen over and over and over and over again. Every day was basically me feeling completely terrible, in just so much pain, going back to the DRC, them doing a bunch of tests, and then sending me home. And then the next day would be the same thing. And then I started to try to taper down off my steroids. And I'm going to say it was a solid 3 attempts to taper down. And every single time I would just withdraw and I would get super sick every single time. And it was the worst feeling ever. So this kept happening for weeks and weeks. And my parents and my aunt's family actually rented out a beach house. So I was feeling terrible, and I had just a ton of anxiety, and my family was like, let's go to the beach. And I was like, no shot. I'm not going to the beach. I'm not wearing a bathing suit. I'm not gonna be able to do anything, so what's the point of going? And I didn't want to be sick around everyone. Like, I just wanted so badly to feel good. But you know what? I was convinced, and I took a deep breath and decided, all right, let's go to the beach. Let's see what happens. So we went to Sanibel Island. We've been going there since I was little, and it is so beautiful and cute and small, and just has cute little restaurants. It was a lot of fun, and I still felt not great. I still was in a lot of pain. And I was very, very weak. And I think I noticed it a lot here because I was trying to do normal activities, and even just walking off the edge of like the sidewalk into the street, my legs would like buckle down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe that I can't step down from a step. I remember a really just upsetting part of this trip for me was we were taking pictures outside of this restaurant, and I was gonna take a picture with my little cousin Juliana, and I went to pick her up and I couldn't pick her up, and I felt like, damn, I am so weak. I felt like I wanted to cry. Like, I really wanted to cry. But you know, I had to remind myself, like, this is just where you're at. This is just temporary, and you're going to get your strength back. And when you do, you can lift G up and swing her in circles. So that was really hard for me. But this trip honestly was a big turning point for me, because it was the time when, you know, I got out there a little bit more. I went and did things. I tried to drink coffee again, like little tiny things that were actually a big deal to me. Like even going to the beach, and I went in the water. I walked all the way to the beach. I did a lot of walking. I got exercise in. I just was out of my comfort zone 100% the whole time on that trip. And even though I still didn't feel good, like every little thing was a victory, because I was just getting a little tiny bit better every single day. And then I went home and I did get sick again. I went back to the DRC, but then I had my third immunotherapy session, and I was told that my symptoms could be the same. But I actually started feeling better on this treatment. But you know, from then on, we're now in August. I had a port installed because they just could never find veins in my arms, and I was getting sick of being all bruised up. It looks like I was tatted or really badly beaten up by somebody. So I was like, let me just get a port, and it's kind of cute. So I kind of like it. It's up here. I will show a picture of it. But it was a really easy process, and they just did a little tiny surgery, a little procedure. And I got to sleep real good for a little bit. The next thing you know, I have like a cool alien type thing inside of me. I don't know. So the 2nd of August, I went back to the DRC because I was having extremely bad bloating. Like I was just blowing up, and my face is still pretty puffy, but from the steroids, one of the symptoms is water retention. So I was holding so much water. I still am. And so I went to the DRC because I really couldn't breathe. My throat was so swollen. My stomach was so swollen. And my rib cage, it was just like at its end point. I thought I was gonna get stretch marks because that's how stretched out my skin was. I literally could not breathe. I had trouble swallowing, so that wound up all being from the steroids. So as I tapered down and got off of those and drank more water, those symptoms kind of went away. Still waiting for them to fully go away, but they are going away. And then on the 5th, I had my PET scan, and this day was really difficult for myself and for everyone. We went in very, very hopeful that we would see that the immunotherapy was working, but it turns out that it was not working this whole time. So everything that I kind of went through, I'm not going to say it was for nothing, because maybe it did work on some parts of my body, and maybe I needed to go through some hell in my life. Maybe I believe everything happens for a reason, so I'm not going to say that that didn't happen for a reason, but we found out that the immunotherapy wasn't working, and we started targeted therapy. So my big saying is that immunotherapy was like a really, really bad boyfriend that we really wanted to be great. We really wanted him to be awesome and wanted him to be the one. And he just turned out to be some guy who was not treating me the way that I deserved to be treated. So we moved on to targeted therapy, and now that is what we're doing. So that basically catches you up. So everything else is gonna be what's currently happening. Yeah, it's crazy, but you know what? Throughout that whole thing, and still to this day, I have a really positive mindset, and I do believe that something good is still going to come out of this, and one of these treatments is going to work for me. And when you're in pain, you know, you just sometimes have to close your eyes and be like, this is temporary. I'm gonna get through it. Like, I'm going to get through it. And don't let the negativity take over your body, because once you let negativity in, it's gonna consume you, and it's gonna consume everybody around you, and you want to just keep the spirits high. Half of your hair falls out, you gotta laugh about it. You know, just little things. You have to realize that sometimes, even if things aren't the way that you think that they should be, you're alive and you can walk outside. Or maybe if you were like me and you couldn't walk for a solid couple months, you can crawl outside. Like, there are always ways. Or you can wheel yourself outside. I don't know. But, you know, just be thankful for what you do have and where you are in your life, even if it's kind of a shitty place. I mean, you just gotta be thankful, and good things are coming. Good things are coming, and I'm sending you all really good vibes. Follow my Instagram. I post a lot on there about just what's going on and updates, or things that don't even have to do with cancer sometimes, you know? So check it out. I'll put my Instagram on the next slide, and I hope that everyone has an amazing day. Thank you for watching.